This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hello, bright soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another podcast. I am coming to you from a beautiful Colorado day. We have a rainstorm coming in here shortly. We've been getting a lot of rain lately, but it doesn't last forever, and I'm so grateful it's not snow, so there's always something to be grateful for. And I'm going to go right into the topic for today, and that is letting go of what was and focusing on what is. Don't let your past hold you captive. I heard someone say that we have a bigger windshield in the car and smaller rear view mirrors and side mirrors because our focus needs to be on what is in front. And I understand that the past can be painful or change can be painful, but the only way we really change is through disruption. In order to change, disruption comes. That's the way it goes. Change isn't comfortable, but it's part of evolution and it's a part of life. Life is cyclical. We live in cycles. And if you're focusing on what was, you aren't focusing on what you are becoming. We're constantly being transformed. We're constantly going through changes. And it really doesn't serve you to be looking back all the time. And it's actually a very non-productive act. We all do it. And I understand life can be painful. I get it. I just recently went through, I guess I've been dealing with some low-grade depression that I really wasn't aware of. It is a cycle of what's next for me because I had this vision for all these years of when my daughter graduates high school, I can spend more time with my dad. I knew he wanted to go on a cruise. There were things that he wanted to do. We weren't able to do that during the pandemic, whatever, because everything was shut down and his health wasn't the best. And so I was thinking once she graduated, then I was going to have all of this time. And right before she graduated, he passed. He left the body. And it really shook me for many reasons, medical malpractice, all the craziness. And because he was the last family member of mine present, because my brothers passed. They were older brothers, but they both passed. And my mother left the body. Her body's still here, but she's got dementia, so she's not in the body. And she went into a home about 3 months before he passed. So I essentially lost all my family. And I'm not telling you that for a woe is me. I'm telling you I understand how that feels because it was difficult for me to face what is now. I'm more looking at like what were my other plans that can't be realized. Meaning I was planning to have all this time to spend with him and do all these things, and then he's not here, and now I have a space. And I didn't realize that I had this low-grade depression until I was talking to my coach about not being as strong in the gym. I don't feel as strong. I still go, and that's the other thing I want to say. My emotions don't drive my life. My emotions don't drive my life. That's where discipline comes in. So even though I've got this underlying fatigue. It's not really fatigue, it's depression. I diagnosed this after really feeling into it. I still get up. I still go to the gym, even though I don't feel as strong as the gym. I can't push as hard. I try, but I don't have the strength. And I thought, that's so weird. We've increased my calories. I'm coming out of my deficit, so it doesn't really make sense. And then I just noticed I don't feel like doing that much. I don't really feel like putting on makeup to go on dates. I don't want to do it. I'm constantly being asked out and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. I really don't want to. And that's not like me. And so I was having a conversation with my coach about the strength. And then he was like, well, that could be anything. You could be bummed about something. He's like, we know it's not your food because your nutrition's on point. And when he said that, it resonated. And I thought, what is going on? So I went into the cave, which is what I call my meditation space. And that's the other thing. I'm still doing my meditation practice. I'm still serving. I'm still doing all those things, putting myself in positions to serve and making sure I'm in channeled states and taking care of my daughter and doing laundry and cleaning the house and working, all the things. Because again, I'm not driven by my emotions, but I understood that there was like a low level numbness. So I started feeling into it and it's like, oh, I know what it is. The anniversary of my dad's passing came. My brother's birthday came. the anniversary of one of my brothers passing is coming up, and my daughter is finishing up one of her semesters of school. So there's a lot of big things. And even though we may not consciously remember, the subconscious can sometimes hold that stuff. And so I thought, well, shoot. So then I went and did a session with my mentor. And right before we had the session, I had this encounter with someone where, we had like a soul connection, and there was like something resistance on this person's part. And it was it was the last straw, because I'm always the one holding the light for everyone else. So I'm always the one in the higher vantage point. And I'm not talking about like with my mentors, but in everyday waking life. And I know you know what I'm talking about, because we talk about these things. So I'm that one that people go to. I'm also the one that people throw stones at. Even on this podcast, I have haters that listen to this podcast. And haters hate themselves. We know that. So they're in a lower level place. And because they don't want to rise to the occasion, they throw stones at people. And I always know we can feel the vibrations of those things, and we work through it, and we bless them, send them on their path of healing, because honestly, what can they really do? Nothing. And when you're doing that to other people, it comes back to you anyway. And that's for me too. That's for all of us, since there's no exception. And so there was a little bit of that too. I was being poked by people. And I know when that's occurring, because I'm energetically sensitive. I'm shielded, but I can still feel it. And I was having this conversation with my mentor, and I just broke down and cried the whole time. And I wanted to share that with you, because a lot of you will book private sessions, and as soon as we connect, the energy comes in and you have a breakdown and you'll apologize. And there's no need for that, because I didn't apologize at all. I just sat there and had a meltdown because I know that that's part of the movement of the release, and I'm human and life gets heavy and I get it. And so the other thing I wanted to say is, why do we fight so hard not to cry? I know it's a societal conditioning, but it takes so much energy to try not to cry. It takes so much energy. Whereas if you would just allow it to be and let it flow through you, you feel so much better. But what's funny is I'm having this meltdown, and was like, I get to the certain point, and then there's just usually something, and it's just so difficult, and I hold the light for everyone, and I'm having a full meltdown, like a human moment. And the response I get is a compassionate, well, Susan, this is the path you chose. It's a tough path, isn't it? The path of a healer. And I thought, shoot, I don't want to hear that. I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I don't care. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done. I don't want to do it. And I wanted to share that with you, because I too have those moments where it's like, when is this over? And the other thing, I was like, when is the parenting job over? I mean, golly, that thing is exhausting. It's so exhausting. I know we all have incarnations, and we love our children. I get it. But sometimes it can get really, really heavy. But here is what I wanted to share. So I'm over here rehashing all this stuff and having a meltdown, and my mentor's listening, just as I do when I'm holding the space for people. And I'm not just holding the space, I'm cleaning and clearing. And so is my mentor when I'm doing it. I'm cleaning and clearing. I'm helping you release that and get it out of your energetic system. And then the question is, what is next? By focusing on what was, we're taking our attention off of what is. We can't change the past. There's nothing we can do about it. There is not a thing you can do about it. And it doesn't serve you to go back there. It really doesn't. All you can do is focus on what is right now. What can I do? Because things aren't going to go back to the way that they were. Life changes. It's cyclical. We're in a new phase now. So what are we becoming? What are we focused on? Where are we putting our attention? Because that's the other thing. I focus my attention on what I want to bring in, what's aligned. And just because I feel like something is aligned, if God doesn't think it's aligned, then it's not aligned. And so sometimes I think I'm getting really close to something, and then it gets yanked again. And that's the thing that made me have an absolute meltdown, because I didn't realize I was carrying so much with me until that point. And then that was a straw. And I'm like, that's it. And I actually melted down and had a low level of emotional meltdown for about 4 days. That's all it took. And then I woke up and was like, I'm back, people. I'm back. I shook it off. I let myself feel it. I continued to do my our Hatha yoga prep meditations and my practices, my breathing practices. I get outside every day. I'm still going to the gym. Even if I'm not as strong, I'm showing up. I'm consistent. I'm still going to work. And that was the other thing. I'm like, oh man, sometimes people are dumping on me, and I feel myself going into just this 100-yard stare at the ground, like, why am I here? This is too much. It's too much. And even that, I snapped out of it, and it's just the reminder that I came here to be a world server. I came here to serve the world, to help, and I'm a healer. And sometimes we can lose sight of that. And again, I just wanted to share this with you today to say, I understand the past can be very painful. And I understand events that happen can be painful, but we can't influence other people's free will choice. And the bottom line is, what's meant to be will be. And so I've really just been a space of saying, not my will, but your will be done. I know that I have divine hands guiding me. I know that I'm part of a whole. I know that I'm here for a reason, and the reason I'm here is revealed to me on a day-to-day basis, because it could change. And that's the important part of being in tune with your intuition. So every day it's tapping into that and saying, how may I serve? What should I do today? And we are all here for a really important purpose. And as long as you are waking up, you still have a mission to complete. And we always have exactly what we need. We may not have what we want, but we always have exactly what we need. And I also have to have those reminders, because I came here for a big mission. And no one that's doing this type of work that I know of has had an easy life. Because in order to hold space for other people, you've got to have some compassion. And I'm not talking about the fake and phonies that say that they are, and you know that they're not. I mean, you can tell that they don't have it. But with anointing comes responsibility. And how do you know if you can handle that responsibility if you haven't been refined and you've been through some things? And we suffer and then we grow. The suffering is really how much we choose. And I say that in a sense of it's your outlook. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but how much are you energizing it and focusing on it? And it's okay to have human meltdowns. And I always say, I may be going through it, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to allow myself to go through it, and then I'm going to pick myself up, and I'm going to face forward and move forward and just say, what am I becoming? And what's meant for me is going to find a way. What is yours and what belongs to you, it's yours. And it will find its way to you. You don't have to worry and stress and struggle. There's such an element of faith to this. What's meant for you will not pass you by. And use your experiences to make you stronger. And really, that's all I wanted to say. Let's go into a healing. You can uncross your arms and legs and focus on your breathing. And I'm going to turn the healing on. Okay, and so it is. You can come back into your body. Friends, if you are not on my newsletter, you can do so over at blendedinsight.com. And I want to thank you so much for your donations. I always bless those to be returned to you many, many, many times, spiritually, materially, and financially. And I just want to wish you a beautiful week. Take care. Bye-bye.